Hi everyone. This video is meant to introduce you to the Incident Recorder for the Gender-Based Violence Information Management System, or the GBVIMS. The Incident Recorder is an Excel spreadsheet that acts as a database for compiling and storing collected GBV data. Service providers input the data from the intake form into the Incident Recorder. As you can see, there are different tabs at the bottom of the Excel sheet. We'll go through these later in the video, but first let's start on the Incident Data tab, also known as a worksheet. The Incident Data worksheet, which is what we're currently looking at, is where service providers directly input the data from the intake form into the Incident Recorder. Before we get into the details though, let's quickly go over some general Excel vocabulary. A cell, which I've selected here, refers to the rectangular boxes that occur at the intersection of a column and a row. Each cell can store data, such as a number, date, or text. A column, which I've selected here, is a vertical series of cells. In the Incident Recorder, there are headers at the top of each column that tells you what type of information should be input into the cells below. Rows run horizontally across a worksheet. Each row in the Incident Recorder is equal to one incident. So for each incident, you'll input data into each cell of the row based on the column. For example, in this row, at this cell, I would enter the sex of the survivor. You might notice these beautiful colors at the top of the Incident Recorder. We've color-coded it for you. The colors line up with the intake form. It's a visual cue so you know which section you're in. So the administrative information is one section, color-coded in this pinkish color. Then survivor information is in green, and so on. You'll see the other colors as we go through the recorder together. So let's go over some columns. These first 6 fields, which I've selected here, are the only place on the Incident Recorder where you type in information. The rest are all drop-downs or automatically populated for you. Remember, when you enter a date, you'll need to follow the specified format. Here, it's date, month, year. So for example, you see that the date of this report was the 29th of June, 2020. Now let's enter some information together. And we'll start with these first 6 fields where we'll type everything in. Here I'm just repeating what's above it so you can see an example. Once you've entered the necessary incident information into those first 6 cells, you'll move on to the next columns, where you're able to select from a drop-down menu. I'll show you a few examples just so you can become familiarized, but you'll see it's pretty straightforward, especially once you're familiar with the intake form. So here, to select from the drop-down menu, once you have selected a cell, you'll put your mouse over this arrow and select from the drop-down menu that appears. Now, before we go on to the calculated columns at the end of the Incident Recorder, I want to draw your attention to a couple of these colors that have popped up as we've been filling this information out. Here you see red. This indicates a data entry error. In the Incident ID section, every input has to be unique because each incident is new. You can't have them repeated. So because these two share the same incident ID, they've been highlighted red to act as a visual cue to let you know that something has been input incorrectly. So when you see that happen, you'll just need to recheck the data that you've input to identify the error. This yellow that you saw pop up indicates that a cell has been left blank. It's another visual cue to draw your attention to an area for an incident that still needs the data input. This way you don't miss any crucial information. So we'll scroll through here. And again, these sections match up with the intake form. And if you're unfamiliar with the intake form, I would recommend watching that video. Now we're at the calculated columns, and this section is indicated by the dark blue headers and the gray cells. It's also magic. The information is automatically populated for you, and you don't need to do any data entry at this point. So let's start at the beginning. Here, this column, age at time of incident, looks at the date of incident and date of birth and figures out the age of the person on the date the incident occurred. It's important to note that this age will not necessarily be the same as the age at the time of report. If there's an error with age at time of incident, this will show up as -1. All you'll need to do is go back to the dates that you input and see where there's an error and correct it. Next, we have age group. Age group looks at the age at time of incident and generates a value that is a range, identifying if the survivor's age group was unknown, 0 to 11, 12 to 17, or over 18 at the time of the incident. Adult and/or child at time of incident uses the age group to determine if the survivor was a child or adult at the time of the reported incident. If they were under 18, the value will read child. Special age population generates information based on the previous columns to identify if the survivor is an adolescent or elderly person. UAM and/or SC and/or OVC shows if the survivor is an unaccompanied minor, separated child, or other vulnerable child. This is based on the unaccompanied or separated child field. If this cell is empty, then this survivor is not an unaccompanied minor, separated child, or other vulnerable child. Disability shows if a survivor has some sort of disability. It looks at the person with disability field in the IR, the incident recorder. Any response besides no should register as disability. If no is marked, the cell should be blank. Sexual violence indicates that the incident involved sexual violence. This is based on the field GBV type and is automatically calculated if GBV type is rape or sexual assault. Intimate partner violence shows if intimate partner violence has occurred. This calculation is based on the alleged perpetrator-survivor relationship and is automatically calculated if the alleged perpetrator is the intimate partner and/or former partner of the survivor. Child sexual abuse is based on two fields, age at time of incident and GBV type. It's automatically calculated as child sexual abuse if the survivor was a child at the time of the incident and if the GBV type is rape or sexual assault. Early marriage is also based on the age at the time of incident and GBV type column, and is calculated as early marriage if the GBV type is forced marriage and the age of the survivor was younger than 18 at the time of the incident. Harmful traditional practice is based on the harmful traditional practice field from the details of the incident section. If any response besides no is marked, this should register as harmful traditional practice. Possible sexual exploitation shows if sexual exploitation has potentially occurred. It's based on two fields, money, goods, benefits, and/or services exchanged, and GBV type. It's automatically calculated if money, goods, benefits, and/or services exchanged is marked as yes, and the GBV type is either rape or sexual assault. Possible sexual slavery is calculated using the fields type of abduction and GBV type. It's automatically calculated to read possible sexual slavery if any response is marked besides no under type of abduction and the GBV type is rape or sexual assault. Armed perpetrator looks at the main occupation of the alleged perpetrator. It's automatically calculated as armed perpetrator if the occupation is either armed group or armed forces. Healthcare for Rape will populate healthcare for rape survivors when the field health and/or medical services reads either referred or service provided by your agency, and the GBV type is rape. The number of days between incident and interview is calculated based on the date of incident subtracted from date of interview. Range of days between incident and interview is based on the field number of days between incident and interview, the column before this one, and indicates the range of days between the date of incident and the date of interview as 0 to 3 days, 4 to 5 days, 6 to 14 days, 2 weeks to 1 month, or more than 1 month. The incident date and report date fields, including the month and year, quarter, and year, are all automatically calculated and used for monthly and quarterly reporting. You'll see those along here. Note that quarter 1 is January, February, and March, quarter 2 is April, May, and June, quarter 3 is July, August, and September, and quarter 4 is October, November, and December. The exclude from statistics and/or consolidation column will be marked include unless the incident record should be excluded from data compilation. If the survivor indicates that they have previously reported this incident to another GBVIMS organization or agency with whom you're sharing incident data, then the cell will read exclude. It will also read exclude if the survivor has not given their consent to share their information. If they have given consent, then it will be read as include. The purpose of this column is to reduce the likelihood of duplicate statistical reporting and to respect the consent of survivors. Now that we've gone through the incident data worksheet for the incident recorder, let's go back to those tabs at the bottom of the sheet. After the incident data tab, we have the menu data. Whenever service providers begin using GBVIMS and receive an incident recorder, this page will already be completed, so you won't have to spend much of any time here. This page has 8 tables with customizable fields that relate to the incident recorder that can be modified at different levels. Make sure to take note of the descriptions above each table when making modifications. Once you're ready to make changes to the drop-down menu that appear in the Incident Data tab, you can click the Update Menu and Incident Data Worksheet button. Next, you have the Country of Origin menu. This is where you go to customize the drop-down menu for country of origin. This is how you determine which countries are included in the drop-down list of the Incident Data tab. Again, this will be completed prior to using the incident recorder and will not really change, but if you do need to update it, this is how it's done. Select Yes by the country names you wish to have included. And once this is complete, you can select the Update menu and Incident Data worksheet. Next, you have the birthday calculator. And the birthday calculator does not populate any information. It's really just a calculator. When a survivor does not know his or her exact date of birth and you have an approximate age on the intake form, this helps you quickly and accurately calculate the year of the survivor's birth. As you can see, there are clear instructions listed here. So you can enter the year the incident was reported, the age at the time of the report, and this will automatically populate the survivor's year of birth. The monthly statistics worksheet contains formulas that automatically calculate monthly statistics based upon the data entered into the incident data worksheet for a specific month and presents it to you in a 2-page monthly statistics sheet containing easy-to-read printable tables and graphs. The main purpose of this worksheet is to summarize and present data in a manner that enables you to easily access common stats needed to meet reporting responsibilities and analyze your monthly GBV data. Finally, you have the annual statistics worksheet. Like the monthly statistics worksheet, this contains formulas that automatically calculate stats. The difference here, though, is that you're looking at data entered into the incident data worksheet for an entire year rather than just a month. Again, you're able to access a 2-page annual stats sheet containing easy-to-read printable tables and graphs for reporting and analysis. I'll go through the monthly and annual statistics worksheets more thoroughly in another video. But for now, that covers the incident recorder. Thank you for watching this video on the incident recorder for the GBVIMS.